Hello guys, welcome back to the Beastie Room. Now we're going to go back to one of our scorpions today, and that is the Heterometrus spinifer, the Asian forest scorpion. Now you would have remembered we had one in this box that was looking really gravid, and we were hoping that she was going to produce. Now this is not a scorpion that we have bred ourselves. Many of these come into the hobby already gravid. Vast majority of the females are already gravid. So when they're collected, they're obviously collected after the mating season. And then we get them back in, and quite often or not, they produce youngsters. So we have got exactly that. One of ours has actually dropped a load of babies. Now, what we're going to do, I have got a little clip here of when they were all on her back, and we'll have a little look at that, and then we'll get back to sorting them out. Here we are about to open up the box that our female Asian forest scorpion has produced young. As you can see there, she hasn't long had these, and they are just absolute perfect tiny little replicas. Now this is a very difficult time for the female, and we have to be very careful not to disturb her unduly, because they are very prone to eating their young should they get stressed. So we're just going to have a quick little look here. We did actually put a cricket down in front of her, a dead one that we pre-killed, just to give her a bit of food, and then hopefully stop her from turning on her youngsters should she feel the need. Now it looks like there's a good few there. We've got one already gone off on walkabout. There he is. Look at that. Perfect little replica. Now these will colour up in time and they'll end up going black. So get another molt out of them and they start to change their colour. Awesome looking things. Right, time to get on and rehouse them. Right then. You saw that. It's really impressive, isn't it? It's great stuff when they're actually climbing all over her, and they all sit on there. It's amazing how they literally hang on, and I can only imagine what it must feel like for her. All these little things crawling all over her. I guess she's really proud. But here they are now, and what happens is when they give birth, they all come out and they all climb out on top of the female, and they stay there for protection. It's to keep them safe, and then what they eventually do, after a week or two, they start to disperse and they break off. So in the wild, they would literally crawl off and they'd start disappearing into the undergrowth. And that is where their life begins. They have to fend for themselves. So they only have mum's protection for the short time that they're actually on her back. The rest of it is down to them. So they are fully equipped to survive completely on their own. Once they leave her, they are ready to hunt and feed for themselves, and they can do everything. So she has actually tucked herself down in here. All the scorplings have disappeared, and they are probably underneath this lump of moss that we put in here to keep the humidity up. And you can see where it's really damp. There's mum there. Oh, look, there's a couple of babies, look. So they're all hiding under there together. So what we're going to do now is we'll cover her up. We are going to set up two new homes, because what we want to do now is we want to remove the female from the babies, because there is a high risk that if she starts feeling stressed or even just hungry, she will start eating them babies. So it's important that we move them away, and then we can also feed her up and concentrate on getting her back to full strength. So what we're going to do is we're going to keep the babies in the same size tub, but we're going to give our female a bigger tub. Now we're going to fill this up, and it's going to be very basic. Scorpions don't need anything really. They are so basic in their requirements. I don't know what I've done with my tub. Okay, we'll use this one. So all we're going to do is we're just going to have some normal potting compost that we use. got a bit of a mixture. This is all recycled stuff that we got in here. And that's already nice and damp. You can see there by the colour. Nice and damp. And all we're going to do, we're going to put a simple piece of bark. Now we're going to put this bark. Now you notice here, there's a nice curve to this bark. Now one thing with scorpions is they like to be in contact. You see that? They like to be in contact with whatever they're hiding under. So with this piece of bark, what we will do is we will push it in and we will almost bury it flat. Now if this was for a spider, we'd want that big arch for them to be able to get under. So what we're going to do is we're just going to like move a little tiny little bit with our finger there. And then now she can dig that out to her heart's content and actually make it as snug as she wants it to be. So we're going to do that. Then we've got a little bit of moss here, which we're going to cover up. What we do, we'll nick a little bit for the babies, and then we're going to put this piece in here. And we're going to lay this in this side here. And what this means is when we come to keeping this enclosure moist, we can soak this moss here, and then she will live under here, hopefully, and then the soil will pull the moisture through. It'll absorb it through, and it will keep her nice and just where we want her. So we can put that in there, and we're going to have a simple water bowl here as well. She can go in there, fill that up. Now that's mum's enclosure, all done and ready. That's sorted. That is all she needs. So we're going to do the babies now. And it's a very, very similar thing. Put a lid on that. Very, very similar thing. Except with this time, we're going to use a rather flatter piece of wood. And this is simplicity in itself. And the reason being is what we want to put that in there like that. They will be able to get under it. So we'll leave some little areas that they can get through. They will get under there and they will dig it out and move it around, do whatever they want to do. But the reason we're keeping this simple like this and keeping it small is we don't want these babies to be off hunting for food forevermore. We want them to be able to find their food really, really easy. Now what we're going to do, we're also going to put this over that way a little bit. We're going to put this piece in here like that. And the reason we're using the moss, again, is that we can use it to hydrate the soil around, but also because these are such small babies, we don't want to be putting a water bowl in here. So what we can do is every day or two, we can take our water thing and we can literally soak the moss, literally just like that, and they will come and they will drink from the moss. So the moss is acting like a water bowl. And it's doing exactly the same thing. So then what we can do now, we've got a simplistic enclosure here. We will pre-kill the food for these babies. And what we do is we will lay that pre-killed food on top of the wood here. We can just lay it on top there. So we'll get a cricket or a roach or whatever. We'll kill it. Very important that it's dead. We'll kill it and they will come out of a night time and they will feed on it and it will all disappear. And that way, by keeping it simple like this, we know in the morning that if our roach or whatever the food we put in there has disappeared, we know they're eating. And then all we need to do, once a week or two, we can literally lift it up, see our babies, make sure they're all okay, plonk it back down again. And as they grow, then we will slowly but surely separate them off. There's no need. We can keep them as a group as they are. They will survive as a group really, really well. So that's what we're going to do with them. So now it's going to be time to catch them up and put them in their appropriate enclosures. So what we'll do is we'll catch mum first, get her out of the way. There she is. Now we've got to check, see how we've got to have a look in the moss now, because we might be a baby in there. You never know. They literally dig in and disappear. It looks to be clear. What we'll do now is we'll move her out. You notice how she was hiding. So we can pick her up. Pick her up by her tail. Hopefully she's not got any hanging on her. You can see these are old molts here. Old molts from the babies. There we go. That's her happy now. You can have a little wander around. And you can see actually by the sides of her how she's quite sort of sunken, but she's still got really good condition, which is phenomenal really for something that's gone through that amount of work. But you can see there through the sides, you can see what I like to call the belly panels. And what we're looking at now is we just want to get a little bit more meat on her, and she'll be fine. So we know we've got a sexed female there, so that's really, really good. We don't want you out, so you're going to need to stay in. I'm going to leave the lid off you. Behave yourself. Right, so now it's time to find out what babies we've got. It's always difficult when they first hatch out and they're on mum. You don't want to be disturbing them very much because they are rather prone to eating their babies. You notice now we're just checking all of this stuff over, making sure what we got. This gives us a good opportunity in which to count them. Now I think a few have actually disappeared because I'm sure there was more than this when we looked on them the first time when they were on her back. So there's one there. You notice how they're white? They will molt out and they will become black. Cute little devils, aren't they? Oh, are you there? We're gonna just, oh, there he goes, he's in. Another one in the water bowl. Remember, we're not going to put a water bowl, so keep count now. There's two. We're gonna wait. Where do you think you're going? Come on, in. Behave yourself. There's another one. Absolute, complete replicas of their parents. That's three, isn't it? Mm-hmm. 3. Number 4. 5. Another one in here. Tucked down in the corner. 6. Now we know there was more than that. Oh, here we go. Little bunch of them under there. See how they all huddle up together? Now you notice this one, look at that, he's really big.
He's been eating his mates.
He may well have been eating his mates. He might have got a little bit hungry. How many is that? 5?
6.
6. If he gets to the bowl.
7, that one would be.
Is it? I am terrible at counting, as we can see. There's one here. He's getting holding his tail up. Look, he's in ready for action. Coolest little things, aren't they?
That's 8.
8. Glad you're keeping count. You don't want to leave. 8. Another one. He did go in, didn't he? 9. 10. I think that might be all of them. We've got a little rummage in here just to make sure. They don't tend to dig down. This soil is quite compacted, so it doesn't give them much options to actually dig down into it. I think we've had them all. So what was that? 10? Mm-hmm. I'm sure if we look back on the footage, there was more than 10.
We've got a very fat one of those.
Yeah, one of them is a little bit on the fat side. He might well have done the deed and it, a friend or two.
Move that other way. Okay.
Right, so that is 10 babies out of that little tiny group there. So that's all right. That's not bad. You can't complain for free, can you? So remember, as we were saying before, these guys come in already gravid. So we've not actually bred these ourselves. So what that means is these are now classed as these are now classed. These are like captive reared. They are not captive bred. And we can look at this in two ways. One way is that the good side of it is they've actually come in and we've got no idea what the male scorpion was. You know, so we know he's going to be of a pure breed because he was a wild caught and the female was a wild caught. So we've got what we call F1s, which is basically a wild coupling. When you then have, if we now pair this female with one from the hobby, one that's been in captivity or whatever, that will then be classed as an F2. So we change and we follow them around. But an F1 is a first generation, which is what these are. So we will literally pre-kill all their food. You notice they're all disappearing now. Some of them are hiding under the moss. Yeah, they've literally, he's disappeared. So many of the youngsters that you will see within the hobby, when they're this sort of size or a little bit bigger, most of them are going to be captive reared. They're not actually captive bred. And we get this with many things in the hobby. So things like our huntsmans, the crab spiders, many of our spiders that the females have come in as adult females, many of them produced egg sacs while they're in our care. But these are literally classed as captive reared individuals. So we can't claim to have bred them. I know many people say, oh wow, I bred my scorpion. Well, you didn't really. You know, all the hard work was done long before you bought it. It just so happens that when you got it home, conditions were right and she produced youngsters. So you should just class yourself as lucky, nothing else, just lucky. Unless you go down the road, which is what's happening now in the hobby. Things are picking up in the hobby now in the front of scorpions, where there is more and more interest being shown to these amazing creatures. They really are fantastic things to keep. And but they are hard work in terms of breeding, because many of them can take a year or so to actually, from pairing to dropping youngsters. So it's not a fast thing. Whereas when we look at our spiders are generally pretty quick. You know, we pair them, within a few months we get an egg sac. It's all go. With the scorpions, it's very different. It's a very long, drawn out process. Now there is a really good group on Facebook, Scorpion group on Facebook, Scorpions UK, I believe it is, run by Tim Baxter. Check that out. He is a font of information. If you've got any scorpion questions or anything like that, he is the guy to go to. He really does know his stuff and he's very passionate about it. And he's got a really good collection of his own now. There's not a lot Tim hasn't got. So if you want more information about them, go check him out. Really cool guy with some cool scorpions. If you don't do that, you'll always catch him at the shows. He's always on Creatures of the North. He's on their stand all the time. Massive big fella with a mohawk. You can't miss him. He's bloody enormous. Right. So that is how we look after our Asian forest scorpions. And they're very easy care, very simple. And hopefully now we can raise these on. We'll get them a little bit bigger. And then we'll probably keep a couple and we'll move some on. But yeah, fabulous things. Right then. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. Nice little recap on them. Don't forget, be calm, be gentle, and love your spider. And I'll see you soon, guys.